Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm JJ Flazanes, your empowerment strategist, producer, and winemaker. Thank you for downloading today's episode. Today, I am bringing back Doug yet again, not realizing I was doing it back to back, but I have Doug Sandler on with me today to talk about why your purpose is important. But I also wanted to let you know some of the other episodes that are coming out this month. I have got Jeannie Peters coming back to talk about what your constitutional homeopathic remedy is and how to use more natural and homeopathic options for avoiding the flu and increasing your immunity. I'm bringing back Shona Home from Isha Wisdom with her second book, Love and Spirit Medicine, to talk about her journey into spirit medicine. And I have Dr. Jane Gwynn, and we're going to be talking about healing sexual trauma. So those are all to come with many, many more episodes in the queue already lined up for you coming into January and February of next year. So I wanted to let you know to stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to the show and enjoy today's episode. Welcome to the show, everyone. I have with me the favorite guest of JJ Flazanes. That would be Doug Sandler. Doug, welcome.
I am your favorite guest. That's amazing. I love being the favorite of everything, of anything.
You're my favorite person, so why wouldn't you be my favorite guest?
Oh my gosh, that is an honor coming from the queen of podcasting.
Oh my God, the queen of podcasting. So I am fired up today. Let me tell you why. I want to talk about two concepts that I feel are really important right now for me to share because it's happening so much in my clients, like in their experience and just what I'm seeing. And it's honestly been happening for a long time. And I'm going to say this is for women mostly, but it's not. It's for men too. I just have been working with a lot of women, and women suffer from this, I think, more than men do. But it's talking about why your purpose is important. That's one part of this conversation. And then the next part of the conversation that I want to talk about with you and have you share and us just sort of talk about is, that concept that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with.
Yeah, totally.
And the idea of up-leveling and the idea of what that means in terms of if you're the most successful person in the room, you're probably not going to get more successful because you're already sort of at the top. Like there's no one there to pull you up or be inspired by or have you broaden what's possible in your life. So I kind of want to talk about that too. And they kind of go together because first is the problem. Well, they're both problems, but the first is the problem and second is the solution. So let's talk about the problem and see if you can relate to this, even in just seeing people. It doesn't have to be your experience.
Mm-hmm.
I have had, even as a personal trainer, women who somewhere around their 50s, maybe even late 40s into late 50s, maybe even early 60s. It's normally that time where their children leave the house, maybe their children get married, and their role as a mom and as a wife changes. And they all of a sudden feel anxiety and even depression because they don't know what to do with themselves. Mm-hmm. Because they've identified for so long as being a mom that when their mothering duties decrease, they don't know who they are. Now, I'm going to say that, and I, as a man and as a father, that doesn't happen as much, I think. I mean, for some people, I think like stay-at-home dads potentially, and maybe even Michael. Like I know Michael's, Michael's more attached to Tristan and his fathering role, than let's say you were.
To my kids.
Than you are to your kids, basically, yeah. But it's something that I've noticed, again, in clients that have done, let's say, the Rewire program. And this anxiety, this depression, this suppression, right? It's women that don't know who they are without conditions, without their circumstances, without being a wife to X person or partner, if you're in a same-sex relationship, or even a daughter or a sister or a mom. Take all of those roles away. And these women don't know who they are. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing with their time and their focus. And I see it as a problem because as life changes, all of a sudden there's these new stresses, there are these new awarenesses of this anxiety and or depression and or lack of focus or lack of passion and lack of creativity. And, I know for me, and I see it in you too, one of the things that kind of we thrive on, and it's part of being an entrepreneur, but it's just being a person, is the creative thing, is having that creative energy. Like you just made me a package yesterday. You got so excited
I do.
And lit up. Do you want to, you don't have to tell people what the package cost, but you
I
can
don't
tell them
even
what it
remember.
is.
I don't even remember. Is it the publishing thing?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Well, you just went through this entire process of creating this book out of a book. You basically rewrote or redid and revised whatever. And I'm like, you've documented this whole thing. You've created the system already. Why don't you just package it up and sell it? And that's, for me, that's, I go to a ball game and I start doing an analysis of where all the places at the ball game that are making money, like the guy selling beer. I'm like, oh God, there's a business in that. Not just selling beer, but the system that he's created to attract people to him as the beer vendor of one of a million in that stadium. And I see stuff like that all the time and thinking, how do I improve that system? How can I turn that into a business? Doesn't even have to be a moneymaker thing. It could just be an idea. So I'm totally an idea guy, and I love, that's why I love the position at my company at Turnkey, because I get to be the idea guy and just, have people implement. So yeah, that's just kind of how I am. So I that kind of excitement when I hang out with other people that are thinkers like that, I get inspired, and I get inspired by hanging out with you because you do a lot of that too.
I do. I
Yeah.
do. I do. And I love it. It's about, and I think for women, they look at their children, their husbands, their parents, their siblings, whatever, and even the work. Let's say you do work in the world. I'm thinking about someone in particular who feels purposeful when at work, but the idea of not working makes her go, well, what then? What would I do? Like, who am I if I'm not CEO of the company? Who am I if I'm not running the sales team? Who am I if I don't work? And again, I don't think I'll ever retire, but it's not because of money. It's because of the activation of my creativity. It's about being present, being alive, being curious, finding solutions for problems, seeing trends that are coming, helping people. It's not, could I not do that? I could. Like, if you told me to go live someplace for a year or 2 years and you can't do any things that you're doing right now, I would just find other things to do.
But what you're saying is so important for your community to hear, because I think we talked about this when we were on the hike, where a lot of our great ideas happen. But the difference, my dad always used to talk about the difference between who you are versus who you are, and it's the identity versus your role. And I love what you just said, because if you were placed in an obscure environment but with the same identity that you reflect and relate to right now, you would just create a new role out of the new, not the new identity, but the existing identity that's already out there. And so many people today are, they identify themselves through the role that they play rather than the identity that they have. Big thinker, big picture person, idea person, detail focus. You can take that skill set or that identity, and you can place it into almost any environment and excel if you don't only feel like that identity fits into the role that you are currently playing. And so many people out there today, and whether it's men or women, I don't know that I necessarily agree that it's more women than men. You might see that, but it could just be a guy just as easily, a guy that leaves his position as a CEO of an organization, feels completely depressed when he's left that position because he only identified as that leader within that organization, forgetting the idea of he's a leader in that organization, but he could be a leader at so many other things if he just related to that identity that he has.
I think traditionally, biochemically, physiologically, historically, men search out purpose more than women do. So back when I was studying with Satyen Raja and years ago, when we're, the difference between men and women, even in Alison Armstrong's work, it's kind of talked about like women are more light. Like, women bring light, women bring beauty, women bring passion and the emotional piece, and men bring purpose. And again, this is not that we can't do both. We can do both, but there are certain aspects of our beingness, of feminine energy, masculine energy, the way that we're built, the way that we, that this is sort of what we're built to do. I mean, just look at hormonally. Okay. Testosterone is a hormone to build muscle. Testosterone, because men have more testosterone, you have more muscle. You are literally physically designed to do more physical things. And again, in the case of caveman days, hunting. Okay. You are designed to hunt. We are not designed to hunt as women. We don't have as much muscle as you do. We're not as fast as you are. That's not a sexist thing to say. It's fucking biological, everybody. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to be offensive. So don't take offense to this if you think I'm being feminist or whatever, or anti-feminist. I'm not. What were we going to say?
I just want to,
Yeah.
add to this, and I'm not saying this I'm not trying to be a catalyst for an argument here, but the whole, and I think that you are probably right, but saying it propagates the story. It carries the story. There's a through line that will continue on if we allow that. I'm going to go back to my dad again, and I'm going to go to sales for just a second. My dad would say to me things like, when the guys that are saying it's the time of year that a lot of people aren't buying, summertime, everybody's on vacation, nobody's going to buy. It's the best fucking time to try to sell because everybody has the goddamn excuse of, oh, it's summertime, everybody's taking the time off. That is exactly the time for a true salesman to lean into prospecting, business development, making sales. I'm not saying that women are using the fact that guys are genetically just engineered differently than men. Okay, I got that. Doesn't mean that we can't revise what maybe genetically is going on hormonally. If guys are different than women and guys are more, what did you call it? You called guys the what? What do? They are
Masculine. Oh, they're the hunters. We're the gatherers, again, generally.
right.
But here's the thing that happens though, in midlife, the brain and the body do change. Now, our pelvis shape doesn't change. Women are built to, give life and bear children. Our pelvises are more round and yours is more triangle. But the brain chemistry does change. It changes where men over 50 become more emotional and women over 50 become more
God, I have an excuse
linear
now to be emotional.
And again, so yeah, that changes over time. And that's why, men in their king stage become more talkative and more, they want to offer their help and support to people. They become mentors because they're looking for purpose. And now the purpose is to pass on their knowledge and wisdom that they've gained in working so hard and being so linear all that other time. And so women are coming into this time of their life, their duties as a mom are now less than they were before, potentially, or even if they're not. Like I'm thinking of somebody in one of my groups right now, and she's a new mom and she has young children, but she's been taking in a lot of identification of that her joy and happiness comes from her spouse or her partner and possibly her children. But there's no like looking outside of that to say, well, who am I without all of this? Who am I without the children and without the guy? What do I want to do? What lights me up? And how do I integrate my single, I loved being single and I can manifest anything I want into now I'm in a situation where there are other people and people that I'm responsible for. How do I integrate that part of me back into this situation? It's not an all or nothing. And too often we're doing an all or nothing so that women are coming out. Again, I'm speaking to you. It doesn't matter where you are if you're a mom, if you're not a mom, if you work or if you don't work. It's just this idea that that if you don't know who you are without your job, your husband, or your children, if you don't understand your value, if you don't understand why you're here on the planet, and I'm not saying that I can tell you, although I probably can tell you that I feel very strong about what I think my role is, but it's taken a long time to get here. It's not because I've just been evolving, but it's understanding that you are a person. Forget the idea of you have to know that there's a thing. It's not about a thing. It's about knowing yourself. It's about knowing yourself. It's about understanding and managing yourself. It's about having a voice. It's about feeling confident in who you are as a person and your value and worth outside of your performing for love or being the role. And I saw this really clearly in this last 6 months, if you will, with some of my clients, because what's coming up for them is the reason why they're depressed and suppressed and anxious is because they don't know who they are. And we can get to a place where we're more in our bodies and not in our heads. We can get to a place where we can acknowledge who we are. We can overcome some of the fears. We can say, oh, it feels really good to think about doing something else. But then here's where people get stopped, is in the actual leaping and doing it. One can say, oh, I know that that's what's going on with me. I understand that I don't make my own money. I don't have my own thing and I need that. And the awareness of that can feel like, oh, okay, cool. Like, that's why I've been feeling this way. Now what? Like, I remember when I was personal training, and I'm sure they don't listen to the show, but one of my clients, his fiance, her children were, both married and out of the house. And she was so bored that she was looking like to buy another house so she'd have something to do. Like, she wasn't working. She was bored. And so she became really naggy and really annoying and really clingy because she didn't have anything else to focus on. And then another client, same thing with his wife, because she didn't have anything else better to do. And so she's blaming the husband for not making her happy because she doesn't know what else to do with herself. She's got no job. She's got no kids to take care of. All she has is her husband, and literally she's bored. And that's why a lot of people, I think, also get sick. They get sick and because they need something to do. They need to go to the doctor. They need to be focused on, well, what do I do with my life? What do I do with my time? And so I'm really fired up about this because I really want you guys to understand that your situation, your anxiety, depression, feeling lost, feeling stuck, feeling fearful, not feeling complete, not feeling solid in your body and in your life will not get better until you know who you are. Because then when you know who you are, and how do you find out who you are? Well, I mean, obviously you listen to the show. So part of it is listening to the show and reading the books and maybe doing some of the exercises, but it's what's happened in some of these groups, whether it be so I have people who don't know who they are, and I'm giving you an opportunity. I'm like, here, you have the money, you have the time, come into the mastermind. Let's use Maureen as an example. Maureen didn't know what she was going to do for a business. She just said she wanted to be a part of the group. She comes in, we figure out what she is going to lean into and what that looks like to start and where she wants to go. And now she has an LLC and a business that she's going to work this coming year. But it's about giving yourself the time to explore that. If you have lived 30, 40, 50, 60 years, focus on everybody else but you. Focus on providing for your children or your husband or your job, but you haven't taken the time to explore what lights you up and trying yourself out in the world as a big girl or a big boy, like really following your passion, following what feels good for you. Isn't it time?
Let me just add to that, because I think you started in a different direction than I thought you were going to head, but I love where this episode and this message is heading. But one of the things you said at the beginning is you're the combination of the 5 people that you hang out with. And just the mention of that in combination with this last part of, joining something like a mastermind, joining your mastermind, joining any of your community, is that you are hanging out then with all people that are in a position that want to improve, that want to grow, that want to expand, that are okay with contrast. And sometimes you have to put yourself in those positions to learn from people that have either gone before you and you can learn from them, or are in the same rut that you're in, and you have a leader like JJ that can help you wade through a lot of the shit that you're going through in your life to get you out on the other side. It's really hard to change when you're so much in the hunt. I call it, when I work with my work with Turnkey, there are specific times during the year or during my journey that I am working in the business. I'm editing, I'm producing, I'm bringing in sales, I'm training people. And then there are times when I'm working on the business, which is thinking about where am I heading? Where is my goal? What is my goal for next year? What are my initiatives for the upcoming year? Where are my challenges that I have right now? When you're so busy working in the rut, it's hard to get your wheel out of the rut when you're in the rut, unless you have a little help, a little tow along the way. TOW, not TOE. And that's where a community, a mastermind, a mentor, a coach like JJ becomes really valuable. And without that, it makes it really challenging to get yourself out of it. So I like where the message went. I wasn't sure we were going where we went, but I started with the 5 people that you hang out with.
Well, we're going there now, but I wanted to lay out the problem because I'm seeing it more and more. I'm seeing it more and more that people aren't giving themselves permission to find out who they are and to explore and to step into the world and to use their voice and to be seen and heard. All the groups, actually, we use Marco Polo. I've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. And Marco Polo is very confronting for a lot of people that don't want to be seen or don't know that they need to be seen. And inevitably, by the end of any 3 or 6 or 12-month program, people change. I mean, I mentioned this about Ellie. I mean, just being on Marco, being with us has changed her nervous system, has changed the way she shows up in the world. In this last Rewire group that you guys will hear from in the next coming weeks or a month, people in that group have changed how they feel about themselves. Everyone's confidence has gone up. Everyone's anxiety or nervous energy has gone down. Like, you see them come into their own for the very sheer fact of their being forced, okay? They're being asked to stretch into showing up and showing their face every day to a group of people and being seen, which is why, again, I'm not really doing one-on-one coaching anymore, because I can't provide that for you. I, as an individual person, nor anybody, nor any coach, can provide a space where you are going to feel seen and heard and connected to a group of people because they are going through the same thing you're going through or similar things. So that forcing you to show up and be seen and heard has a value that I can't even put a price tag on. One of the things I remember when you first came into my life, and Maureen has mentioned how fast I have grown since being with you. I was charging $297 for, I believe it was 2 sessions. I don't know if it was 2 sessions or 1 session, but I was charging $297. Don't shake your head. And you and you were charging $497 for 1 session.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before. I love you. You are a specialist at what you do, but I was thinking, what the fuck? I offer so much value.
Yeah. And
I'm really good at a lot of things.
Yeah.
And you're charging $497 and I'm charging $297. What is wrong with this picture? What is wrong with this picture is that women think that they're supposed to give away their nurturing abilities and their gifts and talents because it's part of being a mom. And so they don't value what they have to offer when it comes to people who aren't their children or their family. Like, if I'm going to start a business because I'm going to take my mom skills like a coach and I'm going to be a coach now, and then I have to ask for money, most women devalue, including myself, did not value myself at that level. And now I charge more than you charge. Because I saw the value. You helped me to see the value, but I up-leveled just being with you. I want to give one more, and then I want you to share any up-leveling stories for you. Just thinking back to our relationship and what we've been exposed to. Going back to New Media Summit, when I would see Steve 4 times get up and sell it's not a mastermind program, but it basically is. He'd sell 2 levels of his program. One was $25,000 for the year, and the other was $50,000 for the year. At his $25,000 mark, you did not get to coach with him. He led groups, but he had his mother or his virtual assistant,
his mom, and another assistant
do the coaching for Now, in that $25,000 year, you did get some deliverables. It wasn't just coaching. You got a podcast, you got a course, you were making things. At the $50,000 mark, the only difference was you were getting him. And I remember, especially after watching year after year, the people that would sign up for these. And then, of course, us getting 2 of those clients that paid $50,000 and seeing that within 6 months, we delivered more value for them than they got an entire year at $50,000. I was like, what the hell am I doing? Again, it was that sort of like, what am I doing? Or other friends of ours that are coaches that are charging, $20,000 for their year-long mastermind. I mean, you and I charge $15,000 for a 5-hour VIP podcast launch. But my community, they're not business owners, so they don't understand that. But what I want you to understand, some of them want to be, and some of them are, but what I want you to understand is that when you up-level yourself, like I'm thinking of Allie Brown's mastermind, probably one of her last ones, she was charging $100,000. And the people that joined, there were probably 18 people that joined that mastermind. The reason they joined wasn't because they were spending $100,000 on Allie. They were spending $100,000 to be with other people that invest $100,000 in their business. It became about the energy, the up-leveling into a different mindset, a different way to attract, a different way to value yourself. Someone spending $100,000 for a 1-year mastermind program believes in themselves. They're going to work their ass off. They're totally dedicated. You have no doubt in your mind that someone spending $100,000 is all in 100. You have no doubt they're 100% in for whatever they're going to experience in that year. But you go, oh my God, what's the ROI on that? Well, that person's going to make an ROI regardless of whatever it is, because they want to hang out with other people who invest that much in themselves and their business. And that's where, taking it back to the average of the 5 people that you hang out with the most, when all you do is go to the people who are around you, who will never stretch like you want to stretch, and you ask them permission. You ask them to get on board with your idea. Of course, they're not going to, because they don't have the same desires or passions or drive that you might secretly have. So of course, you know, $10, $15, $20,000 may be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? But then you get into a room full of people that's like not a problem, not even an issue. Why? Of course I wouldn't bat an eye at spending that. It's my business. I take it seriously. It's a tax write-off. It's education. It is networking opportunities. It's learning how to see opportunity, and also learning to see from a bigger perspective. I mean, I know you were challenged in a good way by Steve many times about your income and about breaking through a limit that you've had.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. Broke through that limit just by hanging around enough of the people that said you can do it and you have an opportunity to really step into your own. I mean, look at if spending $10,000 or $15,000 or whatever it is to be a part of a mastermind or a bigger program isn't motivation alone. Know that everybody is coming to the table with the same not exact issues, but the same concerns, but they're willing to invest. And how cool is it to be around a whole bunch of people that have concerns, and then having a leader that not only gives a shit, because the biggest challenge with a group like, and again, I have no problem with, throwing them under the bus, but the biggest problem with somebody like Steve was that I don't feel like Steve showed up.
No.
For his people that were paying the $25,000 and $50,000 price tag. For a fraction of that price tag, you have somebody like JJ that is not only showing up, but she's done the fucking work herself. It's not like she's asking you to do something that she hasn't been through herself. And I love it. I love to watch not only your growth, JJ, but the stretching that you have had to do to get there. And you know that these things are challenging, but you are willing to step into the darkness knowing that there is light in there. And I think that that is the challenge with someone that is, if you're listening to this and you're resistant to whatever price tag it is that you need to confront in order to get yourself to the next step, are you going through life like life is a hobby? Are you going through life like life is an adventure and a business and an opportunity? There are opportunities. Are there risks involved in opportunity? Absolutely. If you don't think that you're going to get to the next step without taking some risk, and if risk to you, if your resistance to the risk is financial, that's where your relationship challenge is. You might not have a great relationship with money. Totally fine. Step into that darkness. And you will find lean in. That's totally fine. There's somebody there with an outstretched hand that you cannot see right now. And if you just lean into it, you'll feel the hand. It's there. And then you'll say, I feel your hand. Give me the step. And you won't be able to take that step because you won't know where that footing is. But somebody's got your hand. And when you take that step, this first step is there. And then you're like, I made this first step, but I can't make the second one. It's there. I'm telling you, it's there. You can't see it, but it is there. And if the finance is getting in your way, figure out a way. Not, I can't afford this, but JJ says it all the time. How can I afford this? That might be where your challenge is. It's just in the dollars and cents.
Well, I want to combine these two ideas that we brought up today. And I know Ashley is going to talk about this or parts of this when we have her back for the second part of, we have the before and the after, before her medicine journey and working with me, and then after. And one of the things yesterday that came up before we did the medicine was we went over her core wounds. We went over her core wound map. And one of the reasons why she did this in the first place was because she's got a high level of anxiety. She's had multiple panic attacks. She probably had one on the way here, actually. So, and didn't realize it until I was reminding her of your panic attack story. And we talked about it in the hot tub. But, my
2015.
Yeah. No, your 2020, the 2020 panic attacks that you had
in Palm Springs.
Well, that was the second one. The first one was in June.
Oh, in 1309. 1309.
Yeah, right. That was before I left for Atlanta for the mastermind, and I thought you were choking, and you weren't. But anyway, that will be another conversation. But yesterday we were discussing how. So the reason why she did this journey with me, this VIP guided medicine journey, plant medicine journey, was because she wanted to, I said to her, I suggested, because she has anxiety, and she goes, how do I sort of manage my anxiety better? I'm like, you don't manage anxiety. We want to get rid of it. Like, anxiety is a message. The message is there's fear there, there's emotion there, and you're not letting it out. And so after we looked at her, just a core wound map, and a lot of things like, and I don't know, I'm not going to tell all the details because she may not want to share all the little things that she did or that I saw and that I questioned. And she goes, oh, it's because I'm afraid. Everything was because I'm afraid. And I said, do you realize there's a very long list of things that you're afraid of? And she's like, yeah. I said, so where do you think anxiety is coming from? My relationship with fear, and I would love everyone's relationship with fear to look at it like fear, while is necessary to protect you from being killed, right? There's part of us that fear, that inner guidance of like, move over when the car is getting too close to you. Absolutely. We need fear in our lives to protect us in that way. But that's in your caveman brain that's going to protect you on a base level. That's not your conscious brain. The fear that we have in our conscious brain has power over us. How do you like that statement? How do you feel about that? All the things that you're afraid of have power over you. Those things are winning. Those things are taking away from your life and your passion and your manifestations, really. I mean, this conversation is about manifestation. You can't manifest something when you're in fear. You can't manifest something if you're afraid of everything. You can't manifest good things because if you're constantly in a state of being out of alignment because you're in fear, you can't get what you want. You're going to get more of what shows you things to be afraid of. So add the manifestation piece on top of all of this. And for me, when I look at something that I'm afraid of, I go, well, I don't want that thing to control me. I don't want that thing to have power over me. And depending on what it is, I will want to get rid of it. Again, I said from the beginning during, when Nation, I had that conversation about psilocybin, and I was like, I'm not afraid of it. I just didn't know why I would do it. But even if I am afraid of something, but I want what's on the other side of it. I mean, the wine thing was not fearful until I put it out there. And then it was fearful because not everybody appreciates wine or vibration like I do. But at the same time, I don't regret a minute of it, and I'm going to keep doing it because I know I will attract and find the tribe of people who appreciate not only how delicious it is, but the fact that it has super high vibration, that each person that drinks it gives me a different story. And I'm like, yeah, no, this shit works. It's working. So I just want you to think, I hope this resonates. I know it's going to with a lot of you. And this is not me telling you to go quit your job necessarily. Although if you are terribly unhappy, quit your job, but don't just replace your job with something else. Like, figure out who you are. And then how do you do that? Well, I'd love to help you, whether it be me or one of my trainers. Come to Awaken Your Dream Life, join the mastermind, do fucking something that you like, instead of just sitting on this suppression. I'm afraid. I have no money. Like, how long have you been telling the story and not getting anywhere? How long have you been telling the story and nothing's really changed for you? And how many of you are afraid of not knowing who you are? Like, you're happy being the mom and the wife, but there's a pit. There's an emptiness. There's a feeling not connected. There's a feeling of, God, I don't know what this is all about. Maybe despair. There's a little bit of despair in there. A little bit of fear and confusion. And maybe you become victimized because you're waiting for someone else to make you feel better, and because you don't even know how to make yourself feel better. So if that's you in any way, shape, or form, I have two opportunities for you. One is the mastermind. The mastermind, if this was just about money, I've said this today twice already in different Marcos, and I will do this next year. Like I said, Doug and I have a VIP podcasting package. It's launching a podcast, and then we help people strategize the episodes they would do. Like, I teach them all the secrets that I've used to build this community and build my business. I make 100% of the money I make from my podcast. I don't have a side job. I don't get money from something else. It's 100% from the podcast. And so we teach other business owners who already have a business, or doctors. Dr. Miriam Rahav was our last, who just joined my network, the Empowering Minds Network. She's a very, 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 very busy doctor, but she has a lot to share with the world. And so the VIP package is $15,000 for us to launch your podcast and coach you and develop your monetization strategy, how you're going to make money from your podcast, and then find your zone of genius and do all those things in about 5 hours.
Why are we only charging 15 grand?
I know we got to make that more. I know.
It's not enough. It's taking okay. Sorry. That's a whole different subject.
But we haven't done anything else with it. It's easy. It's easy and it's easy money because business owners like 15,000 to launch a podcast and make money from it. Yes, please sign me
Oh my
up.
God.
But you and I haven't marketed it. It's just literally
Yeah.
been word of mouth or referrals. And I'm like, okay, we'll do that next year. We'll do more of that next year. We will target people and I will do that. And that'll be easy money and it'll be fun because it's what my zone of genius is. I've done this. I'm good at this. But what I love is taking the people, you guys who listen to this show and really diving deep into changing your life with your business, with living in your zone of genius and finding a new level of happiness that money can't buy. That is what lights me up, is taking both of these things and putting them together in the mastermind or at Awaken Your Dream Life. Like, we're going to start this, but then continue the conversation. So I just, I have to disclaim that because I love it and I'm undercharging. Helen I asked her because she's been in other people's programs too. And she said, Helen Raptopoulos, who did my mastermind this year and who's doing it next year, she has said to me, I over deliver. I charge less and I over deliver than anyone else that she's ever worked with. So, and again, you get the whole, what, honey?
So take advantage of JJ while she is undercharging and over delivering. It's the perfect time. I was just listening to something about Warren Buffett, and he's like, just buy quality stocks and hold on to them. Don't worry about what they cost. And I'm not saying that from an ignorance perspective, just ignore the cost. Yeah, there's a cost associated with it, but forget the cost. What is on the other side? What is the reward that you are going to reap by investing in? You're not investing in JJ.
You're investing in you.
You're investing in you. And
you're investing, not spending. There's a difference.
Oh my gosh, it is so crazy to think of the value that that JJ delivers in the programs that she has. I see some of the prices, and again, I sometimes I see the prices and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe that is all that JJ is charging. Take advantage of it because it's not going to be like this forever. I mean, it's not. It's just not.
No, it's not.
It's not.
But, and I just want to mention that whole investing thing and the spending. If you look at something that's price tag 10, 15, 20, 20,000, whatever, and you go, okay, I'm going to spend that money. If you think of it as spending, like it's leaving your bank account, it's leaving your credit card, it's leaving your, wherever you're pulling the money from, and it's leaving and it's going away. Yeah, that's not really very smart to think of it as spending it. But if you're investing it in order to double it or triple it and to make more money, that's the point of it. And even in some of the programs like the Rewire program or Awaken Your Dream Life, if knowing who you are, if becoming more confident makes you happier and vibrate higher, don't you think you're going to attract better opportunities, better jobs, better people, better relationships, and potentially more money, depending on if you're asking for it and if you're in the situation to receive it? So just consider where you're playing. Consider who you're around. And I'm not saying divorce your husband and get rid of your children because they're the 5 people that you hang out with the most and they're not very big thinkers. I'm talking about surround yourself with people who think bigger, who believe more, who are higher vibrating than you, because you will not grow if you're the highest vibration person you know. So find somebody else to be with, to commune with, to make goals with, to keep accountable with, who can pull you up when you're down and who you can go, well, they can do it, I can do it. If you don't see evidence of wonderful things happening and people breaking rules and expanding and having amazing things happen to them, then and you would like some of that, find a group of people, please. If nothing else, think of who is successful, who is in happy relationships, who is positive, and who is like hungry to be better and better in a healthy way, not in a manic way, not in a like more information, more for like someone that's actually embodying it and doing it.
Why are people listening to your show? They're listening to your show to improve. And what better way to improve than get on the fast track to improve? Stop listening and start doing. Just listen to what JJ has to tell you. She's leading you down the right path, and for the good reasons, not because she's trying to line her pocketbook. She's
God, no, this is not the way to make fast money. I mean, I would be aborting this, and you and I go find all the other millions of business owners.
This is what JJ is passionate about. And if you can't see that from not only her bringing you, 9 years of content, hundreds and hundreds of episodes, millions of people listening, this is the avenue that she has chosen. This is her path, and you are in her path. So get on board. Let's go.
we and just so that you don't think we don't do this work too, although we haven't done it since we moved into this house, I think, but we are implementing, Doug and I, we're going to go back to our own VIP days where we're going to leave our wonderful house and go stay somewhere else, because being at your house, even when there's no one else here but your cats, like his truck calls to him, the laundry calls to me,
Well,
the
we're
cats
doing the
call to.
we reinstilled the practice where we're reading right now from Think and Grow Rich, and journaling and meditating and thinking and doing those things. We do the exercise routine 5 days a week when we're here. We do the couples dialogue if we have a conflict that needs to be resolved. I think we do the work. I really do. I feel like and we are getting back to the VIP for this coming season. But I can tell you, I have right just to my right in my little folder sitting on my desk, I have the goals that we have set for over the last 4 years that we have been doing this. And it's so cool to look back and see the growth that has happened when you feel like you are making, molehill steps and you're actually making mountainous steps. You are doing a great job. And the best way to do that is document. These are just some of the things that you're going to learn when you're with JJ.
Well, yes, I'm so happy. I gotta here are my goals. Mine are handwritten. I think it's time I put this on.
Yeah, mine are all handwritten too.
I
I have
know,
the
but
sheets of paper.
I know they're all frayed. Oh my God, I have so many frayed pieces of paper in this. I don't want to lose it. I think I'm gonna put it on the computer too. I mean, it's fine. I can keep the handwritten papers because that's how I do everything. Yeah, but one of the things that I want to say that we're gonna go back to is spending money where we don't need to, because we live together. We don't have to go together to meet somewhere, but we're going to go somewhere to focus and work on our businesses instead of in our business, and set our goals. And, I have a couple of ideas that I want to run by Doug and I want to work out, and I'll do some of it in my mastermind also before the end of the year. But I want to be able to have his opinion. I want to be able to say it out loud. I want to be able to spend time working on the ideas that I have. And every time I think we've done 2 of them. We did one in Redondo and we did one in Playa del Rey. I mean, we come out of there so focused and so clear, and have all the action items we need to take care of to move that idea forward into reality. I'm looking forward to it. So we're going to be doing it probably in January at some point, hopefully maybe even the first weekend in January. And, but again, you can do that too. If you're not interested in anything that I'm doing, get somebody who inspires you, get a few people that inspire you, go somewhere for the day and sit down and talk about what you're creating in the world and what you want out of the world. Create your own little mastermind. It can be free. I did that a couple of times too. Problem with free and not having someone who's, on the super fast track is you're not going to necessarily learn. You're not going to be able to be pushed. The thing of investing means you just start elevating. You tell the universe, I'm serious. But in your own community, in your own little world, you can grab some people and see has similar ideas to you, or and get them together. If you're not interested in what I'm doing, do something. I hope that's the word for 2024. Do something.
Love a sunny early December day in Ojai, California, mid 60s today, going up to 70s in the midweek.
Yeah. And then just one last thing I'll let anybody know who's considering mastermind application is we are going to be focused on, normally in the mastermind, we don't do anything that's a curriculum because everyone's on a different path and everyone has different, like where they are in their business. So there's different tools that I have for you and different lessons in the library that you can, depending on, just meet you where you are. But what we're going to do together is we're all going to do Think and Grow Rich, because like I said, Doug and I are doing it. It's like my 4th or 5th time reading this book, but it's landing very differently. And I'm like, we all need this right now. And of course you on your own can read the book without me, but if you're going to be with us, we're going to actually implement and do the book, which is very different than just reading it and absorbing it. You're going to have people to talk about it with. We're going to keep you accountable to taking action on it. I'm so excited because it's just inspiring me so much right now, this book, after reading it so many times in my how long have I been in business? I've had my own business now for 22 years. 22 years. So
just a wee babe.
Look, old guy.
I don't know. When did I start working for myself? In 1984, I think, was the first stake in the ground of self-employment. I've had some jobs in there, but full-time since 1997. I haven't worked for anybody since 1997. It's been good.
Yeah, you've done well. You've done well. All right, everybody. I hope this inspired you in some way, shape, or form to do something. Please do something. It is currently December, and there is still a 3-pay plan for Awaken Your Dream Life, and which is crazy because you're gonna be not even paying for the whole thing before you get there. So, yes, I did that to make it easier for you because of the holidays, and for you to say have an easier yes. So, if nothing else, come to Awaken Your Dream Life. It's January 13th through the 31st. There are 4 group meetings, and then there's going to be small group coaching happening from that. So everybody's going to get into a small group coaching to help you keep you accountable to what you're learning in the group, plus implementing some of the normal January resolution type things that will aid in what you're going to be learning at Awaken Your Dream Life. So please do something. Please don't let this holiday season go by and just repeating next year like you did this year if you're at all unhappy. If you're super happy, you've grown a lot and you're on a high, good for you. Congratulations. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. I'd love to hear about it. And happy December, everybody.